Hi guys! Okay, so we're gonna get right into it. We're not gonna waste any time. Today we're gonna make my version of kind of like a strawberry martini. I guess that's what the closest thing to it be. So I'm gonna start with my shaker, and at the bottom I'm actually probably gonna use this half of it. Yeah. So at the bottom I'm gonna add some fresh strawberries that I already capped. You know, capped is just when you take the top off thing. So I'm gonna add probably like I would say about 5 probably. Let me see. Yeah, I'm just like use the mushier ones. Then I'm gonna take that simple syrup that we made the other day. I don't know if you guys remember, with the brown sugar, so it looks like that. And we're just gonna add some of that in there to kind of bring out the sweetness of the strawberries. Then I'm gonna take a half a lemon and I'm gonna squeeze that in there. You know what I realized? I forgot to bring the liquor over here, so I have to go grab it. What original cocktails without any alcohol? All right. So I took my strawberries, added the simple syrup and the lemon juice, and then you see? Let's see. Yeah, there you go. And then we're just gonna muddle them. So that just means that I'm just gonna squish them until basically like it becomes like a gross little mushy thing. I don't know. I'll subscribe. I'll show you guys when it's done. What about that? Should be good? You see? Yep. So just like that when it's like mushy. And then we're gonna triple sec. And for triple sec we're doing I brought my thing out so that I can measure for you guys, so that it's no more me guessing into the wind. So we'll do one of those. So that's a ½ ounce, I think. I'm correct. Should be measurement on this one. There isn't right now. Look. I think that should be about a ½ ounce. I don't know, guys. It's liquor. It's just guess. There's no such thing as too much. And then for vodka, I'm gonna call it 2½. Cause you know, rather safe than sorry. Then we're gonna add our ice to this, and see if you guys want to see what it looks like. Can you see? There you go. I'm gonna add a shit ton of ice to this because we want it to be super ice cold. And you know, like I told you guys last time, you'll know when it's ready when the bottom of your thing is frosted. And that smells absolutely delicious. So now what we're going to do, which is really different than what we usually do, is that I have a strainer here. And we're going to take our strainer, because you know what, it's a martini, so you want it to be nice and smooth. You don't want like these gross chunks in it. So we're going to hit it through this. And that should be perfect. And then we're going to take one of our strawberries and we're just going to garnish it with strawberry. I'm going to show you guys. See, look how pretty and pink that is. And then we'll just hit it with a strawberry on the side. And look how cute that is. Alright? And cheers. So if you give me 1 second, I'm going to get drunk and then we're going to go over some food. Cool. Okay, so welcome back. And this is what you missed last week on Glee. And don't pretend like you didn't watch Glee. We all fucking watched Glee. Show was torture. It was a train wreck, but nobody could look away. It wasn't just me. We all did it. Just let it go. So anyways, so we're going to start here, and I have a pack of short ribs, and what I'm doing is first just cleaning it. So I'm just going to run it over with some vinegar and a little lemon juice. And then we're going to just mix that. I can't tell you why I started cooking. I just did. And I don't know, food to me has always been, I've always equated food and love. To me, both those things go hand in hand. I think that if you love someone, you cook for them. It's just what it is, how you express through food. As humans, our first interaction with love is with our mothers and when they breastfeed us. And like that's how we learn love from the minute we come out of the womb. We learn that through food. So I'm always open to cooking for people and feeding people, and I just think that food is genuinely the language of love. So when you're cooking, everything you do, you have to do it with love. It's necessary. It's people are like, you know what, it's missing the secret ingredient, love. They're not being sarcastic. It's what's necessary. You need some love if you're going to cook. You have to be a loving person if you're going to be a chef. So I'm just rinsing it off here. I'm trying to see. I'm trying to keep track of what it is I'm doing here. So there, yeah, they are washing it off. So now that they're all set, I'm going to start with some onion powder, and I'm going to douse them in onion powder. For measurements, I'm pretty bad at keeping up with measurements, to tell you guys. Until it's like covered, I guess. This is garlic salt. So something like onion powder, you can use a lot. Who gives a fuck? Sorry. I'm trying not to curse. Who cares? You can't really taste it. But with garlic salt, it'd be a little lighter if you know it's salt. And this is just black pepper. So it's onion powder, garlic salt, and black pepper. And yeah, I just poured that over that. Just had a lot of practice and other things, so it helps. It's like what do you call that? Transfer skills or whatever. What is that called? Transfer skills? Is that what it is? Transfer skills? Someone tell me if that's what. Someone comment and tell me if that's right. It's called transfer skills. But yeah, that's what that is. You guys know what I mean. So I again with my hands and just and again, you know, with Corona, if you're feeding other people, please use some gloves and something like that. But I live alone, I'm cooking for myself, so I don't need to use gloves. It's fine. The world will be fine. And I added some cumin. Last minute I decided that, you know what I mean? Cumin. I love cumin. So if you have a Dutch pot, this is the perfect recipe for that. I don't have one, so I use my pot that I make rice in. But if you have a Dutch pan, this is the perfect thing to do it in, because you can take that same Dutch pan after you're done and just put it in the oven at 350 degrees for 2 hours, and that'll do the trick for you. I don't have one, so because you'll see me use a regular pot, and then afterward I transfer it into my slow cooker and put that on for the 2 hours. So I'm just adding vegetable oil, and I'm just waiting for the oil to heat up. So I'm adding vegetable oil, and then we're gonna just sear the short ribs on both sides. You just want to make them brown and give them like kind of like a pretty color to them. You don't want to overcrowd the pan, because if you do, the liquid coming out of the oh Lord, I can't even remember my words. Oh my God, the liquid coming out of the short ribs will kind of like create, I don't even know how to describe this correctly. It'll create kind of like a layer, and then it'll be really difficult to get them to be crisp. Does that make sense? That makes sense? Are you with me? So you want to put just enough in the pan. So I had 6 altogether, so I did 3 at a time. So you want to put just enough in the pan not to overcrowd them, so then they still can crispy on all the sides. I don't know if that makes sense, but you guys know what I mean. My point is that if you have 6 to your pot, only put 3 in at a time, right? You got it. If you have 8, depending on how big your pot is, 4 or 3, okay? You get it. So now I'm, what am I doing here? Oh, I'm just shaving some carrots, you know, taking the skin off some carrots. So it's a stew. So we're going to have carrots, we're going to have onions, we're going to have mushrooms, we're going to have celery. It's a stew, and those are the kind of vegetables you need to create a stew flavor. So you want to make sure on the back burner, you saw me do it a second ago, that you're keeping track of your meat and you're not letting it like burn. You just want it to brown and get kind of like a dark brown color to it, like kind of like a little bit of a crisp, I guess. So because this is a stew, and I'm gonna be honest with you, this crisp, you're not gonna be able to taste it when you're eating your food. But what happens is that some of the fat from the meat goes to the bottom of the pan, and when it goes to the bottom of the pan, it sticks. So then when we add our vegetables and we mix our vegetables in, it gives the vegetables all the flavor from the fat of the meat. I actually already did this once, but it's onions. We're cutting onions. Onions. So now I took the meat off because it's ready, so I put it off to the side. I think, is that what's happening here? Yes. And then I put an onion in the oil. And I very quickly realized that it was too much oil. And this is super, super important. If you don't hear anything else, hear this. So I realized it was too much oil. I pulled the onion back and I threw out some of the oil. And the reason why this is so important is because what happens is that when you're making stew, if you have too much oil, when you put it in your crock pot or whatever dish it is, when it's finished cooking, the oil will rise to the top. And it'll make this really gross layer over your stew. So the tomato sauce and and the wine, all the other stuff will sink to the bottom, and just the oil will sit on top, and it'll be like this layer of water in between. So right over the top will just be this huge layer of grease. And no matter how much you mix, you can still tell it. That's the kind of grease that will like stain. You know, like when you hit stuff, you put your Tupperware in the microwave and it kind of stains it, makes it that gross yellow. This oil will be the one to do that. That's the perfect recipe for that. So a good way to do that, which is what I just did, was that I realized I'm like, this is probably too much oil. So I emptied out about 3/4 of it and only left like a tiny little thin bottom layer, and I fried my vegetables in that. Because we're not looking to cook our vegetables, we're just looking to get our vegetables into some flavor. So I poured all of my vegetables into the pot with the oil and let them simmer for about like 1 minute. Then I'm taking my spoon and I'm scraping the bottom of the pot and bringing that forward up. So everything at the bottom is going to be that residue from the meat that we just pan seared. So it's going to be all the fat and all the flavor from there, and that's what we're scraping. That gets stuck to the bottom of the pan. That's what we're scraping up and we're bringing up, and that's kind of like making like a fake smoky marinade for our vegetables. And I forgot that I had mushrooms, so that's me adding the mushrooms later. Don't do that. Add the mushrooms to the rest of the vegetables. I'm wrong. Don't do what I do. Do what you do. So all the vegetables will sit for probably just about 10 minutes or so. 1, 2. I think it was 2. 2 scoops of flour. No, 1 scoop of flour to 1 teaspoon of flour, and that's gonna be our thickening agent. And then we're gonna add 2 scoops of tomato paste. You can feel free to use tomato sauce. I use tomato paste because it's thicker. I think it has a more pungent flavor to it, and I like it better. I think that when you mix that with the beef broth that we're gonna add in about a second, I think it just blends better. So that's what I do. But use tomato. So right now what I'm adding, as you can see, is red wine, and the recipe calls for red wine. If you have a bottle of red wine sitting around, the more expensive and the more flavorful your wine is, the more flavorful your meat is. So go ahead and splurge if you're a big baller like that. Me, on the other hand, I don't like wasting liquor. So what I do is I buy the $4 or $5 cooking wine at the grocery store and I add that to it. Does it trick for me? It turns out to perfectly fine. But you do what you do, and you comment underneath this, and you like this video, and comment underneath it and tell me what kind of wine you use and how it tasted, and then maybe next time I'll try it your way. So this right here is wrong. Don't do this. I did it, but don't do it. I forgot to buy balsamic vinegar, so I use balsamic vinegar glaze. Not that big of a deal, but you should use balsamic vinegar. So now I'm adding rosemary, thyme. Oh, and last but not least, this is ground mustard. Super weird addition, I know. What does it do? I'm not sure, but I added it in and it was absolutely delicious. So, ground mustard, people. I would say about 1 tablespoon. And this is bay leaves. We're gonna add some bay leaves on top. This is a can of whole tomatoes. They're plum tomatoes. And what I'm doing right now is after I add them, I'm squishing them because, again, you don't want to have a whole tomato in your mouth. I put my meat at the very bottom because that's what I wanted to hit the heat to hit first, because that's what I need to cook. I topped it with all of my vegetable and sauce mixture, and then mine reached the top to a point where I was okay with. If you are not, you are allowed to add 1 cup of water on top. If not, you are allowed to add 1 cup of the beef stock on top, whatever makes you feel better. We are going to put it on high, and at first I started off with 3 hours, but in total mine was on high for 3.5 hours and on low for 1 extra hour. The longer you cook it, the more tender and flavorful it is. We're gonna add some cilantro on top of that, and that's absolutely delicious. And we're gonna, so I scooped out and pulled out all of the bay leaves, and the reason why is because who wants to eat bay leaves? No one. I also went back around, and if I get a full spoonful of just onions, garlic, celery, and parsley, I pulled it out and I threw it out. Because who wants to eat a full mouthful of that? Nobody. You want, the most you want is, you want carrots, you want the meat, and you want the sauce. So the best I could to do that. You can always get a strainer and strain it. It's not the way I do it because it's not that serious to me, but I do go around just 1 or 2 times just to get out as much of it as I can to make sure that we have the most meat and sauce. So I took my cheesy Parmesan potatoes and I scooped them in, scoop into the middle of a plate, and I put my short ribs on top with extra sauce around the sides. And if you wanted to, you could always make another vegetable, usually some asparagus, some green beans, or some broccoli in it. That would be amazing with this. This is the best dish ever. And yeah, So if you guys try it, please let me know. And then again, this recipe is really like whatever floats your boat. So let me know the ways that you guys made it, what changes you made, how it tasted better, and please comment below and let me know, and I'm gonna get back to you guys and let me know what you want me to make next. Okay, love you. So I'm absolutely so excited to eat. I have my drink here and it's amazing. 3 of these and you'll be, not even 3 for me, 2 for you lightweights. And then I have my stew here. I don't know if you can see it. So we're gonna try it now. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I did taste a little bit earlier because I wanted to make sure I was good on flavor. But we can try it all together with the mashed potatoes stuff, so I'm gonna try it now. I'm gonna get like a spoonful of mashed potatoes, and then actually don't want a lot. I'm gonna get a piece of meat, and the meat is really tender and it falls right off the bone because we slow cooked it. And look how delicious that looks. I don't know if you can see. Yeah. And then I'm gonna pop a mouthful of mashed potatoes on top of there and a little bit of gravy, and there's that. And we will see. I'm gonna give you a Food Network experience. Don't you worry, I'm about to Rachel Ray this bitch right up. Hold on. Yeah. Oh, it's delicious. It's so good. The meat is literally so tender, it like melts in your mouth. And these cheesy potatoes are the absolutely perfect combination. And the gravy, it's flavorful, it's not too heavy, it's just absolutely perfect. And then people call food sinful. This is sinful. And it tastes like it tastes like we were over the stove killing ourselves all day long. And we really didn't do that much work. It's absolutely delicious. So next time you have people over, you want to impress, this is the recipe to pull out. So good. The meat literally, I don't even have to chew that much. It just goes straight down my throat. And that's what she said.